Welcome back, focus learners. Today we're pulling apart the mechanics of what might honestly be the most logically airtight existential thesis ever constructed. In this explainer, we're zooming in on Surah 103, Al Asr. We'll be breaking down its linguistic roots to show how it functions as an absolute masterclass on time, human entropy, and the exact four-part operational framework we need to avoid a life of total net loss. It's incredibly short, it's brilliant, and it pulls absolutely zero punches. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's start by actually reading the literal translation of the surah. By the pressed or compressed span, indeed the human is in a state of loss, except those who hold verified security, do restorative deeds, mutually counsel toward truth, and mutually counsel toward steadfastness. What we're looking at here is a single breath, deeply interconnected logic. You'll notice there are no narrative turns, no shifting audiences, no historical parables. It's totally closed and precise. It gives us an opening oath that sets the conditions, a universal verdict on the human state, and a highly specific exception clause.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with the squeeze of time, then look at the default state of loss. From there, we'll cover the individual antidote, the social imperative, and finally, escaping human entropy.
Let's kick things off with part 1, the squeeze of time and the oath of Al Asr.
Now, what is really fascinating right out of the gate is the Arabic root of the word asr. It's ayn, sad, ra, and it literally implies compression. It means squeezing out. So this isn't just some neutral, abstract concept of time slowly floating by. It sets up this profound motif of pressure. We're talking about a bounded, pressure-bearing interval. Basically, it's an environment that is actively squeezing its contents. And to prove this isn't just some clever metaphor we just made up, we can look at other parts of the text. For example, in the narrative of Surah 12, the exact same root is used for the literal pressing of grapes to make juice. The implication, extraction under pressure. So when you apply that to a human lifespan, it means time is a limited material being continuously squeezed for a yield. It has a defined endpoint, and it absolutely demands an output.
This actually stands in really stark contrast to how the word is commonly used today. A traditional ritual reading often narrows Asr down to just a fixed clock hour for the afternoon prayer. But when we look at the internal linguistic root, it gives us no real warrant for that kind of liturgical specificity. The surah is invoking something much deeper here. Our lifespan is a pressure-bearing span, and every single second is being squeezed.
Which brings us to part 2, the default state of loss, or the baseline human condition.
Think of this whole journey as mapping out an accounting ledger. We're moving from total existential bankruptcy to a 4-part actionable solution that puts us back in the black. So, if time is the matrix squeezing us, what is our output? Well, the surah uses the root kha, sin, ra, or khusr. And listen, khusr does not mean incidental bad luck or a temporary setback. It's a rigid accounting term. It represents a structural deficit, a literal bankruptcy on the ledger of life, where your output completely fails to return on the capital invested into it. I want you to really notice the specific phrasing here. It says, indeed, the human is in a state of loss. Surah 103 places humanity entirely inside an ambient state of loss by default. The text doesn't say human beings commit a loss occasionally. It says we are literally situated inside it. Imagine a continuously bleeding asset. If you do nothing, if you just exist without deliberate targeted intervention, the mere passage of time guarantees entropy and depletion. And this is brilliantly illustrated by how other surahs treat qasr. Take Surah 2:121, where we see ultimate loss tied directly to rejecting verified truth. Or Surah 39:65, where it refers to depleted effort and voided actions. When you synthesize all this, you realize qasr is an ongoing, present-tense, real-world entropy of our resources at our agency. It's not just some future posthumous damnation. We are going bankrupt right now, which means we require immediate intervention. Moving on to part 3, the individual antidote. This covers internal grounding and restorative output. Traditionally, the first 2 parts of the exception clause are read simply as holding a passive belief in dogmas and checking off a list of ritual acts. But linguistically, the roots demand so much more. Halting that baseline state of loss requires iman, which actually means internally verified security and grounded certainty, not just blind faith. And that has to be paired directly with salihat, meaning active, corrective, restorative deeds that actually mend and improve real-world conditions. So the crucial takeaway here is that internal conviction without load-bearing output simply does not reverse loss in the logic of the surah. The phrase amanu wa amilu salihat is a fixed compound across Surah 103 and several other surahs. Verification and conviction are never ever presented as sufficient on their own. They absolutely must be structurally bonded to a matching output. You have to be secure in the truth, sure, but then you literally have to put on a hard hat and go do the structural restorative work.
Let's look at part 4, the social imperative, expanding the ledger to we. To survive the squeeze of time, individual grounding and output are structurally insufficient. Enter the word twasi. Grammatically, this is a Form V reciprocal verb. It means mutually counseling and binding one another. It is heavily, explicitly two-directional. We aren't talking about a unilateral command or some private virtue you do on your own. It's a required community mechanism. Basically, individual solutions are going to fail without mutual accountability. So what exactly are we mutually holding each other to? Well, we have two pillars, haq and sabit. Systemically, haq is not about sectarian correctness. Its root means objective reality, that which is undeniable and structurally sound. And then there's sabit, which is so often mistranslated as just passively suffering or giving up. But its root actually means active, durable fortitude. It's about holding the line under immense pressure and maintaining strategic restraint. We can easily point to other surahs to prove this. Surah 2262 defines haq as the ultimate reality, directly opposed to falsehood. Surah 3200 uses sabr to demand endurance and excelling in mutual steadfastness. Synthesizing this shows us that truth and patience cannot just be isolated individual traits. They have to be actively exchanged across a community to prevent mass delusion and moral decay.
And finally, part 5, escaping human entropy, the 4-part chain.
Let's see how all this builds together. These 4 elements, they aren't a multiple choice menu, and they definitely aren't a casual checklist. They form a deeply interconnected chain. First, you have internal security and verified truth. Second, you translate that into restorative, corrective action. Third, you culturally align with one another toward objective reality. And fourth, you sustain each other with mutual steadfastness when the pressure of time inevitably gets heavy. Here's the catch. You cannot drop a single link. Think about it. If you have inner security, but no restorative deeds, you're in loss. If you do good deeds, but aren't anchored to objective reality, you're in loss. If you have the first 3, but you lack the mutual steadfastness to actually endure over time, yep, you slip right back into the default baseline of Kussler, bankrupt. Dropping even a single link plunges both the individual and society right back into structural decay.
Ultimately, Surah 103 frames existence as inherently bounded and under extreme pressure. It tells us that unless we actively engage this complete 4-part dynamic, our default trajectory is entropy. True success isn't about acquiring material status, which decays anyway. It's about reversing the loss on the ledger. So I'll leave you with this to consider. If time is always squeezing, what is your output yielding today? Thanks for exploring this explainer with me, and I'll catch you in the next one.